It's Tuesday, the 30th of August, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Hello, Michael.
All right, Sean, we have 5 stories to get through in 5 minutes. Story number 1 is a biggie. The local share market dropped sharply yesterday, with investors really worried about a global recession.
Yes, that was a message from US and European central banks over the weekend, and the local market followed the lead of Wall Street, falling more than 2% to close under 7,000 points. Pretty much wiped out all the gains from what's been an okay earnings season. Now, it wasn't pretty. About 90% of the top 200 went backwards yesterday. In essence, investors fear that central banks around the world will keep pushing up interest rates, even if that triggers a recession. Tech stocks got hammered, just like Wall Street. WiseTech Global and Xero both tumbled yesterday. The materials companies, which includes the big miners, didn't do much better. What about those really widely held companies, the banks, the retailers, Telstra? All the banks were down. NAB was off 2.5%. Commonwealth Bank, Westpac and ANZ, they're all off around 2%. Coles was also off about 2%, but Woolies, Telstra and Wesfarmers, they all dropped, but they actually did a bit better than most of the other stocks. Therefore, they outperformed. That's how they put it. It wasn't just the local share market that suffered. In times of stress, investors buy the US dollar. What's that do to the Aussie dollar? It pushes it lower. It's trading back around 68.5 US cents. And some of the cryptocurrencies also fell. Ethereum took a dive, so too Bitcoin.
All right, on to story number 2 now, Sean. And Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was at the National Press Club yesterday. He was there to mark 100 days in power, and he spoke mostly about the economy.
Yes, he said we have to think differently about migration beyond what size the cap is, and that involves the need for skilled migrants who are desperately needed, including in hospitality. He said it was important that migration was done in a way that doesn't usurp the need to give local workers the first opportunity to be trained and skilled up. Mr. Albanese said the upcoming Jobs and Skills Summit on Thursday and Friday this week shouldn't be about business union conflict, but it should be about industrial relations reform, and he wants the summit to herald a new culture of cooperation. He also said Australia's approach to mining rare minerals used in electrification should be different to other commodities, and we should add value locally where possible. Now, Michael, he wouldn't be drawn in the debate that's going on at the moment that the COVID isolation period be cut from 7 to 5 days. The National Cabinet meets tomorrow on that. I reckon it will be.
Yeah, I reckon you might be right. Story number 3, Sean. Iron ore giant Fortescue Metals said it made $9 billion last financial year. It was down from the previous year's record, but it was still better than expected.
It was. And if you put all the dividends that were paid out during the years, the December half and the June half, you wrap that up together and you work out how much Andrew Forrest, the founder of the company, made. It was about $2.3 billion over the year. Not bad. Now, Mr. Forrest is a very colourful character. He called the retiring CEO, Elizabeth Gaines, who's done a really good job, he called her a mix between Queen Boadicea and Mother Teresa. So that's the mix between a warrior queen who fought the Roman rule and was defeated and a peasant nun from India who spent her life feeding the poor. Don't quite understand that one. Anyway, Mr. Forrest, who's always entertaining, will step in as executive chair, but he will restructure the business into 2 divisions, a minerals business and a clean energy business. Back to the result, shareholders weren't impressed. Fortescue's share price fell nearly 5% yesterday.
Okay, on to story number 4. How about this one, Sean? Scientists sponsored by the US Department of Energy say they have designed a super fast method to replenish the batteries of electric cars in less than 10 minutes.
There is a bit of a caveat. They say it may take years for the technology to reach roadside charging stations. But the scientists believe the breakthrough could help to remove a key drawback hampering sales of EVs. Recharging could be as quick as filling up the petrol tank, according to the Times. In short, the scientists increase the amount of energy that can go into a battery cell in a short amount of time. They achieved a 90% charging in 10 minutes. Pretty incredible. Fast charges today take somewhere between 20 minutes and an hour.
Okay, last one. Story number 5, Sean, and I don't know whether to file this one under comedy or horror. I suspect if I was on the plane, I would be putting it under horror. 2 Air France pilots have been suspended after having a physical fight in the cockpit mid-air on a Geneva to Paris flight.
Yes. Now, the flight continued and landed safely, according to Air France, and the airline stressed its commitment to safety. Now, presumably they're talking about the passengers, not the staff here. Switzerland's La Tribune reported that the pilot and co-pilot had a dispute shortly after takeoff and grabbed each other by their collars after one apparently hit the other. Cabin crew intervened and one crew member spent the flight in the cockpit with the pilots, keeping them apart. There you go.
Be a very frosty flight for that crew member, wouldn't it?
It would.
Quite unpleasant. All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Tuesday, the 30th of August, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast, and if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.